Call 512-861-1963 or visit AustinDentalImplantCenter.com to schedule your appointment or opt for your free virtual consultation regarding dental implants, teeth of the day, and pricing. Austin Dental Implant Center, Austin's premier choice for all things dental.
To brush your
The key defenders are providing that are important to you.
What are the requirements for
ventilators, shields.
You have
Frontliners need support before dealers answer. And now we're open and ready to serve you.
It's really important for everyone, and especially children, to have an outlet to express their ideas, express their emotions.
Service to your community. With sights set on the path forward, we continue to rally together to keep your future in focus. Get 2 pairs of single vision glasses for under $40. 2 pairs of progressives for under $80. We've implemented additional measures to ensure the safety of everyone that comes into our stores. We thank our local heroes for your dedication to our
Relieve your stress and shop Father's Day sale at Relax
Some problems, even though annoying and possibly serious, don't always require drastic solutions. Like enlarged prostate, sometimes called BPH. It causes a slow urine stream, getting up at night to pee, and frequent urination. But you don't need painful surgery and long downtime to take care of it. At Advantage IR, we can treat an enlarged prostate with a procedure that can completely eliminate your symptoms. Call us for a free consultation and get back to normal life today.
Get more enjoyment from your outdoor space with patio enclosures. Right now, get 25% off sunroofs. Plus, enjoy no interest and no payments for 24 months. Virtual appointments available. Call today. Patio enclosures.
This afternoon will stay warm. Temperatures will drop into the low 70s overnight. That humidity stays elevated the rest of the week. Highs will be back into the mid-90s. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, slightly higher rain chances over the weekend, but highs staying in the 90s for the next 7 days. Mike.
Thanks, Monia. Before we go this evening, let's check in on our live poll. We asked you if you think Texas should require people to wear masks in public. Here are the results with about 2,000 people voting so far. 88%, the vast majority, say it should be required. You still do have time to vote. We'll have the final results in our 6 p.m. newscast. Ashley and I thank you for watching KVU News at 5 o'clock. World News Tonight is up next.
Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. President Trump on the police in America. The president surrounded by law enforcement while signing his executive order today, suggesting police departments ban chokeholds unless an officer's life is in danger. But the president does not mandate an end to the practice. Also saying the American people demand law and order, even if they don't know that's what they want. Families of those killed by police meeting with the president and what they said after. There is also news tonight about the deadly police shooting of Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta. The DA to decide on possible murder charges, and what we're also learning tonight about the officer who shot and killed Brooks, his record. The coronavirus, and is China tonight dealing with another emergency? Residents in Beijing now being told to lock down and avoid non-essential travel. It involves another market, a new cluster in the city. What's really happening, what we know so far tonight? Also news on a potential life-saving drug, the inexpensive steroid, and tonight, researchers now saying it cuts the death rate by a third for patients on ventilators. Is this a breakthrough, and how readily available is it in the U.S.? Meantime, the record numbers being seen in this country as this nation reopens. The major news from Florida, Texas, Arizona, and other states. The governor of Texas tonight and his frustration over young people not wearing masks. And California reporting nearly half of those now testing positive are under the age of 35. And what Dr. Anthony Fauci is now acknowledging tonight about why Americans were not told to wear masks from the start. The American F-15 that went down, and what we learned tonight about the pilot and this last video for his wife. News on the toddlers who went over a cliff with their father, the rescue. And what the NFL commissioner is now saying about Colin Kaepernick, now urging teams to hire him back.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Tuesday night. News on the coronavirus in the U.S., a potential breakthrough, and the potential emergency playing out again in China tonight. But we're going to begin with President Trump on policing in America. After 3 weeks of protests calling for change, President Trump in an emotional meeting behind closed doors with families of victims. And then the president in the Rose Garden today signing an executive order recommending restricting chokeholds to be used only if an officer's life is in danger, but not a mandatory ban. He said police departments should share abuse complaints about officers. The president also insisting, quote, Americans want law and order, adding some of them don't even know that's what they want. But with protests across this country, the president did not address racism in America and what the families who met with the president said afterward. Our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Carl, leading us off tonight.
The president's speech today in the Rose Garden started out as a plea for unity.
To all of the hurting families, I want you to know that all Americans mourn by your side. Your loved ones will not have died in vain.
But the president quickly turned to tough talk about law and order.
Americans want law and order. They demand law and order. Some of them don't even know that's what they want, but that's what they want.
The event was called for the president to sign an executive order the White House built as an effort to address the issues raised by the protests across the country in the wake of the killing of George Floyd. The president spent most of his remarks defending law enforcement.
But I strongly oppose the radical and dangerous efforts to defend, dismantle, and dissolve our police departments. Americans know the truth. Without police, there is chaos.
His opponent, Joe Biden, says he doesn't support defunding the police either. Before the event, the president met privately for at least an hour with several black families whose loved ones were killed by police, including Botham Jean and Ahmaud Arbery, who was shot to death after being chased down by a retired officer. But when it came time to sign the executive order, the president was surrounded by 9 law enforcement officials, only one of them black. The order makes no mention whatsoever of racism and policing. In his remarks, the president insisted that the problem of misconduct is limited to a very small number of police officers.
I use the word tiny. It's a very small percentage. But you have them.
The executive order encourages local police departments to follow higher standards on use of force and de-escalation, and to report instances of police misconduct to a national registry. The president also suggested his order bans chokeholds.
As part of this new credentialing process, chokeholds will be banned, except if an officer's life is at risk.
But the order does not require police to stop using chokeholds. Lee Merritt, who represents some of the families who met with the president today, says it's not enough.
Well, the executive order takes incremental steps, and we need radical change.
The news on police reform today. Let's get right to John Carl, because, John, I know there's another breaking headline as we're on the air tonight. Just a short time ago, the Department of Justice filing a civil lawsuit to try to stop the publication of President Trump's former National Security Advisor John Bolton's new memoir. That book set to be out next week.
David, this lawsuit from the administration says that Bolton's book is, quote, rife with classified information, and that if it is published, it will damage American national security. Bolton's lawyer dismisses that, saying there is no classified information in the book. There's only information that is embarrassing to the president. It is unclear when this will be resolved, but this could very quickly go all the way to the Supreme Court. And, of course, Bolton's book is due to be published a week from today.
A week from today, John. Thank you. We should mention that our Martha Raddatz landed the first interview with John Bolton about his memoir and what he says he's witnessed in the White House. The 1-hour special this Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, with Martha right here. Meantime, in Atlanta tonight, there is news in the death of Rayshard Brooks, the DA set to decide on whether there will be charges. As we also learn tonight more about Officer Garrett Rolfe, who fired those 2 shots into Brooks' back. And tonight, police releasing this new image right here of a woman suspected of helping to set that fire at the Wendy's where the incident took place. ABC's Steve Osunsami again tonight from Atlanta.
The records released by Atlanta police show that the officer who shot and killed Rayshard Brooks in the parking lot of this Wendy's restaurant on Friday was disciplined before after another incident involving a gun and use of force in 2017. 27-year-old Garrett Rolfe kept his job.
Miss Brooks, will you take a preliminary breath test for me? It's yes or no.
I don't want to refuse anything.
It's yes or no. It's completely up to you.
This was how his interaction with Brooks began last Friday night. The 2 men happened to be the same age. Rolfe and Officer Devin Brosnan suspect that Brooks was driving drunk, and what starts off as a DUI turns into a fight when Brooks refuses to be arrested.
Stop fight! You're gonna get tied! You're gonna get tied!
He was able to wrestle a stun gun away from the police, and when he reaches back and points it towards the now former officer, Rolfe fires 3 shots. Brooks died at the hospital. Lawyers for his family say that the shooting was not justified, arguing that the police taser that he was pointing at the officer was not a deadly weapon.
I've had cases where officers have used tasers on victims, and they argue with us in court that tasers aren't deadly.
But just 2 weeks ago, the same district attorney who is now deciding on criminal charges came out and said that tasers were deadly here, when Atlanta police were seen on live television using them on 2 students during a night of violent protests. 6 officers were charged.
As many of you all know, in the Georgia law, a taser is considered as a deadly weapon under Georgia law.
Police across the city argue that if a police stun gun was deadly then, then it should equally be considered deadly here, justifying this shooting. Atlanta fire officials tonight are stepping up their search for alleged arsonists who burned the Wendy's restaurant down. There were multiple suspects, and they say this woman is one of them.
We're outside that burned-down Wendy's where the peaceful protest continues. The Fulton County District Attorney could deliver charges on this case as soon as tomorrow. The possible charges include aggravated assault, murder, felony murder, or possibly no charges at all. David?
And you'll stay on it. We'll see you tomorrow night, Steve. Now to the coronavirus, the very real concern here in the U.S., and tonight perhaps the most promising treatment for the virus yet. The UK's Oxford University now reporting a low-cost common steroid readily available here in the U.S. too that has cut the death rate in some of the most severe cases by a third. Here's ABC's Maggie Ruling tonight.
Tonight, a major potential breakthrough in the fight against coronavirus. The first drug that improves survival rates in the sickest COVID-19 patients.
It's a really important first step. It shows what can be done, and it's shown it with a treatment that can be used immediately.
Dr. Martin Landry and his team at University of Oxford discovered that dexamethasone, a common steroid, was shown to cut the risk of death by a third for patients who were on ventilators and reduce death by 20% for those who were on oxygen.
When somebody comes off a ventilator, do they come off the ventilator dead or alive? And we've improved their chances of coming off that ventilator alive.
The Oxford team worked in near record time, setting up what's believed to be the world's biggest trial of existing treatments in just weeks. Today's results are so encouraging, British doctors announced they'll begin treating patients with the drug today.
It's really important because the drug itself is very widely available. It's on almost every pharmacy shelf in every hospital. It's available throughout the world, and it's extremely cheap.
In fact, dexamethasone can be used to treat a patient in the U.S. for just $1 a day. For Scott Krakauer in New York, he says the drug was a turning point in his fight against COVID-19.
I was coughing around the clock.
He was in the ER and says he was having trouble breathing. But within hours of taking the drug, he says he began to feel better almost immediately.
This was like a difference, a huge difference after I went on the IV steroid that I felt.
Dexamethasone is a steroid that reduces inflammation and it helps to ease the blood to the cells. It's
promising Maggie with us, and we'll also study tonight, Maggie. Just came up how quickly the virus can spread, particularly among those under 40.
Hey, David, exactly. This is an alarming new study out of Japan that shows people ages 20 to 39, even those without symptoms, may be the ones who are driving the spread of this virus outside of hospitals. The study documents multiple cases where just one young person was able to trigger an infection cluster that infected 5 or more people in places like restaurants, bars, and gyms. David?
Amid that news, Maggie, sharp words here in the U.S. for young Americans tonight. U.S. authorities not liking what they're seeing in parts of this country as America reopens. Record numbers tonight across several states. In California, for example, nearly half of new cases under 35. And Dr. Anthony Fauci tonight on masks, saying they're not 100% effective, but that they certainly help. And so he was asked, why weren't Americans told to wear masks from the start? ABC's Victor Akendo from Miami tonight.
Just one day after Miami pressed pause on its reopening plan, the state of Florida setting a new record high for coronavirus cases. More than 2,700 in 24 hours. Does that sound an alarm in your head?
We have also tried to prepare for what could be coming next.
For everyone.
Erica Chris says she and two friends talked about
being careful, social distancing, doing everything the right way, and then the first night we go out.
Another 7 employees testing positive before it was shut down for cleaning. The city of Nashville adding a citation to this. Creates another shutdown, and that to us is more damaging than waiting. Cases of the virus still rising in 20 states and Puerto Rico. Hospitalizations up in 14, including recognized in Texas.
to the point, we're very close, There's very few hospital ICU beds in southern Arizona.
To protect the supply for healthcare workers. The public health community and many people are masks and the surgical masks. While masks are 100% protected, they aren't better than nothing. Florida's governor just doubled